The Biden administration they did an executive order for Treasury to research development of a CBDC in the United States. And of course, this causes a lot of us heartburn because we look at what the CCP did with the digital yuan in connection with the Olympics. So, upon confirmation, how would you approach this discussion of CBDCs? And are you for them or against them? Could you end the Biden administration project to create a U.S.-based CBDC?
Senator Blackburn, thank you for your remarks. I may have a little trouble disciplining the two behind me, as I'm sure that I will hear that a U.S. Senator has vouched for their behavior.
Yes.
But on CBDCs, I see no reason for the U.S. to have a central bank digital currency. In my mind, a central bank digital currency is for countries who have no other investment alternatives. So if we think about a reserve manager, a high surplus country, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Singapore, who ends up with, call the Chinese currency whatever you want, the yuan, the RMB.
Yeah.
If you own that currency, you have to have something to invest in. That there's very little to invest in if you want to hold the currency. You could own Chinese government bonds, which don't yield
So
very
your
much.
view of that would be a negative view?
Well, I view that many of these countries are doing it out of necessity, whereas the U.S., if you hold U.S. dollars, you could hold a variety of very secure U.S. assets.
Does it continue to be your view that the Federal Reserve should be independent of the president?
Of course, and I actually believe that the notion that President Trump believes he should have influence, there was, I believe, a highly inaccurate Wall Street Journal article saying that he believed something to the effect of he should be in the room. President Trump is going to make his views known, as many senators did. 3 senators, including 2 on this committee, called for, there was a jumbo rate cut in September, 50 basis points. 2 of the senators on this committee called for 70.
I'm not asking my senator colleagues. I get the politics on their sides. I'm asking you. But let me just say, you don't deviate from our conversation that you think that there should be independence.
I think on monetary policy decisions, the FOMC should be independent. Any officials in the Russian Federation are watching this confirmation hearing. They should know that if I'm confirmed, and if President Trump requests, and as part of his strategy to end the Ukraine war, that I will be 100% on board for taking sanctions up, especially on the Russian oil majors, to levels that would bring the Russian Federation to the Americans are barreling towards an economic crisis at year end. If we do not renew and extend, then we will be facing an economic calamity.
Clinging to the 100K level just days before President-elect Trump's inauguration, and a new wave of digital currency innovation could be on the way. Strive Asset Management filing for a new Bitcoin bond ETF, giving investors exposure to crypto through corporate debt rather than directly holding underlying tokens. The fund would primarily invest in bonds from companies like MicroStrategy, which now holds 450,000 Bitcoin. Strive CEO Matt Cole joins us here on set for more. Matt, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
I assume that it's a pretty concentrated portfolio then, since there are only a handful of companies that actually do that.
Yeah. So to start, there's only a handful of companies. The TAM of these companies, of the actual convertible bonds, is about $10 billion. But interestingly, when you even look at those companies or companies that have not issued these convertible bonds yet, there's a lot of desire. So there's a lot of desire for more supply if you just think about Econ 101. Mm-hmm. And then there's also a lot of demand, clearly, from retail investors that haven't been able to access these bonds. And so I think what you're going to see over the next year is just a shift up in supply and a shift up in demand as there's a democratization of access to these bonds.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Scott Bessent in front of Congress, asked about Biden's executive order for research on a CBDC. And guys, we already know a CBDC is definitely coming. And the only thing you have to do is look up Project Enbridge. All the central banks coming together to use a CBDC. And then also we know all the testing that the BIS has done with wholesale CBDCs. But we know the sheep stay distracted on things that don't matter. And that allows the NWO to build. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. And Scott Bessent says the Fed should stay independent. And also said that he will put more sanctions on Russia. And don't forget, back in 2014, Russia made moves away from the American economy. They knew the sanctions were coming. Remember, I did a video on the Patreon. It's still there. But they've been preparing to get off the dollar since 2014. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. And we have Strive comes up with a bond ETF that invests in companies that are invested in digital assets instead of directly invested in the tokens. And we're going to see a lot more ETFs surrounding the crypto space. Remember, guys, Larry Fink stated that ETFs were the gateway to tokenize in this economy. You know, everything's going to be tokenized and put on blockchain. And we have Jordan says the Fed is going to cut less. And don't forget, guys, the central banks want to keep these rates higher for longer in order to destroy this legacy market so the fourth industrial revolution can rise. Now we have Apple sales are down in China. Remember, this is not about Apple. It's about the competition is rising, and then also the competition is a whole lot cheaper. And we see this in the EV space. But if you look at Apple's market cap, it makes no sense whatsoever. 3.5 trillion, and that was down from being the first company to hit 4 trillion. That's called a monopoly. But unfortunately, we have the elders, these baby boomers, going along with the flow, not educating. And who pays the price? That's right, the younger generation. And we know buybacks should definitely be illegal. And they were illegal until Reagan got into office. But in the previous years, these buybacks were over $1 trillion. Now going forward, these buybacks are going to pull back. But when you're looking at all these big corporations, they've been buying their own stock. And you're talking about billions and billions. And Apple is definitely an example. And then on the sideline, they still got about 200, 300 billion of cash sitting on the side. Instead of taking that money, giving it to the employees, or investing it back into the company so therefore they can grow the company and hire more. But that's too much like doing right. They want the machines to come in to replace humanity. And then we have TikTok. Whether it gets banned or not, the game is about to change. The reason why? Because these cheap goods are about to end. Don't forget, Janet Yellen went over there and talked about the surplus. But with all these cheap goods, Temu, Shein, the dollar is not even circulating in its own economy. And you can't make this stuff up. And since the machines are going to be taking a lot of these jobs, that means there's going to be less money for spending. But we know this TikTok creator can care less because the only thing they're looking at is the millions of dollars that they're making. And don't forget how TikTok first started. I think it took off probably like 2019. But remember, this was more for kids. And then adults moved in. So the TikTok app is not old, but we know it had an agenda. Just like all these social media apps, it's all about data. So therefore, they'll know you better than you know yourself. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. Because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
I think rates are not likely to go down very much this year. I don't buy the forward curve. We use 3 cuts in 2025. I'm a little more cautious than that. I don't think that we'll get 1, maybe 2 cuts over the course of the year. If the economy holds up, you see job growth remain strong. You see inflation, which is still running a bit higher than the Fed would like. I think you'll see rates stay in this area. I don't think they're going to go up, but I don't think they're going to go down as much as the market might be optimistically hoping for.
We start off with Apple losing its top spot at the market in China. Shipments to the country plunging 17% in 2024, according to research firm Canalys, with a whopping 25% drop in just the fourth quarter. That was Apple's worst yearly decline ever and put it into third place behind China's Vivo and Huawei. The stock falling over 4% today for its worst day since August. It's now lost nearly 9% already in 2025, making it by far the worst performing Mag 7 stock so far this year. Analysts on Wall Street have also been getting a bit more bearish. Just last week, MoffettNathanson issued a rare sell rating on the stock, slashed its price target, saying Apple could fall another 18% from here. The biggest concern there, tariffs. And with President-elect Donald Trump just a few more days from returning to office, could that threat just be starting?
Usually buyback season, not just earnings season. Usually companies up their buyback programs for the year when they report their fourth quarter results, which is right about now. But Citigroup and some of the others could be outliers. We've now got a much more expensive environment for funding buybacks. Back in 2020 and 2021, the yields on U.S. BBB bonds were below 2%, and that funded a massive surge in buybacks. But now the funding cost is over 5%. Stock valuations are much higher, and the demand for capital among big mega cap players being put into AI expenditures may take precedence over buybacks. So we could see maybe a buyback recession this year, and that could erode some of the support for some of those highly valued stocks, for example, like Apple.
Stormy, welcome. I'm not going to pretend to know half what I just said, but what would a TikTok shutdown mean for you, your brand, your employees, and Huntsville, Alabama, where you're based?
To be honest, I feel like what's not being considered with the TikTok shop ban is the morale on the American people, right? I feel like it would be totally against 170 plus million people's right to speech, freedom of speech. And then on top of that, it'll directly impact their income in a significant way. Some people only find joy on TikTok shop platform in the palm of their hands. So outside of just financially, we got to talk about the Americans' emotional stability. Some people rely on this heavily, and as for me, we've done 3 million in a single day. And not only just us, a lot of people are connected to our brand through affiliates. They make money off of this. So I feel like if TikTok shop was to leave, I would personally consider it to be one of the greatest layoffs in American history.
Guess is, Stormy, that you don't care who owns TikTok. I'm guessing. So if TikTok were to stay alive but be based here and do everything exactly the same, let's say it's exactly the same. Nothing changes, but it goes from China to Phoenix, Huntsville. Do you care?
I do care. And I care because as a business owner, I never want someone to be able to tell me who has to own my business. I think that's not right. And I think it goes against, once again, the American dream. It's impactful. It makes me feel like my voice does not matter. It makes me feel like someone can tell me what I have to do with my business. And that is not what this culture of America is supposed to be based upon. So I don't agree.
That's fascinating.
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, The fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.